Hello, I'm Angele. I want to take this video format to introduce you to a film project that I'm involved in. It's a documentary film called Crazywise. The film producers, Phil Borges and Kevin Tomlinson, I was fortunate to meet on a trip to Brazil in October 2014. That trip was guided by Bragdon, who does feature in the film as well. She's a psychologist from the United States who is, hi Colonel, who is touring, or showing us how mediums are used in acute care and psychiatry in Brazil, associated with a philosophy called spiritists. And along with meeting Bragdon, Kevin and Phil, I also met Katie Mottram and Dagmar Ramos. Dagmar Ramos was the psychiatrist who was also a medium and a spiritist and really opened our minds to some different ways of looking at acute psychiatric care. Katie Mottram is from England and is involved with many exciting projects, but really put me in touch with the peer-assisted open dialogue movement in England. Certainly not new, with open dialogue being used in Finland for decades, but now being used, starting pilot projects in, I think, 10 or more health trusts in England. So definitely up and coming, multidisciplinary, collaborative, process, a paradigm. It's a bit of a shift in paradigm, and I think it's really exciting. It would really work very well, I think, in Canada and the United States. Maybe it is already being used in some areas. But basically, just so excited to meet these different international people with wider perspectives in how to treat and define mental illness. So this film, Crazywise, basically does challenge the way Western culture defines and treats mental illness, and that's a topic dear to my heart for so many reasons. But as many of you know, I did train as a family physician. I graduated in 1990, worked for under 10 years. However, in that time really got my eyes opened pretty wide to psychiatric needs, mental health distress, mental distress that I saw quite frequently in my office, and certainly came to be aware of the need, and even took initiative to go to conferences designed for family physicians to treat mental distress conditions. So I took an extra interest because the need was there in my practice. And learned some really cool things, this and that, but I have to tell you a funny little anecdote. One of the techniques I learned, it was a book called The 15-Minute Hour. So just talking about how to best use your little 15-minute aliquots for people in mental distress. And there was a technique called where you bathe your patient. So this was an acronym for B-A-T-H-E. So if they have some kind of distress, you would ask B, what is bothering you? What is bothering you? So they tell you. A, how does it affect you? They tell you. T, what troubles you the most about this? H, how are you handling it? And then E, you give an empathetic response of some sort. So I thought, wow, that's kind of interesting. Kind of caught my attention. I thought it was funny to bathe your patients. And I used that technique actually, not infrequently. Felt always a little silly. There's always a slightly smirk in the back of my mind anyway, because it's kind of too simple to be true. But it's interesting how effective it is when people are just asked and you listen to them. And that is a very fundamental aspect to healthcare, actually. We must listen to our patients. It's very important. So this one particular patient did come in, and she was in a lot of distress. And the cause of her distress was her daughter had just come out to her as a lesbian. So here she comes. She's in my office. She's freaking out. I bathed that patient, yes I did. And I just think that's an interesting, and I just stopped, and I honestly, after it was done, I thought, let me just pause and see. She was satisfied and she left. So that's all I did. What's bothering you? How does it affect you? How are you handling it? What troubles you the most about it? And an empathetic response, and she left happy. And honest to God, I just pinched myself. I thought, what? Really? Oh my God. But another thing I have to add is just, often I would not have patients that were so straightforward. It was not as easy to know how to help them. I just wanted to make comment to two things. One is naturally on my own. I did not learn this in medical school. I would ask people, do you have any religious, affiliations or philosophical affiliations? Just because I could see that those would be more capable of helping them with the distress they were presenting to me for. So anyway, most often people were not too keen to take too much of a cue off of that, but that was my little attempt that started me on my path of self-discovery and really realizing how important philosophy is, I think, to the foundation of health, and when you're having mental distress, to try and understand that. And then the other thing I was going to mention, a little funny story. I graduated in 1990. There was a classmate from 1989, the class of 1989, and he finished in psychiatry, set up shop very close to my office. And I'm like, yes, okay, my prayers are answered. All these difficult patients that I don't know what to do with, I'm going to send them to him. Within 6 months, practice closed. And I, honest to God, could not believe that. It's like, wow, okay, so he's been in practice for 6 months, and he's closing his practice already. But as time rolled on, I kind of understood, psychiatrists take in patients, but there's not an output. And I'm telling you, my short little career, there's no other field in medicine that has no output, no output. Blocked up practice in 6 months, even if nobody, family doctor, any kind of specialty would have that. Oh, I ranted, which I didn't want to do. Okay, so that was not my intention. I wanted to introduce this documentary film, Crazywise, because I wanted to ask you to join me in supporting financially this wonderful project that I think is really important to broaden perspective and changing the conversation, a paradigm shift for the field of psychiatry. They are independently funded, which I think is really important. There is no outside pressure of any sort. They're fully free to express what they find from the various interviews. And I certainly have added my own independent funds, which I'm happy to do, and will continue to support in every way I can. The big goal for the film is to have it screened at the Documentary Film Festival, the largest international of its kind in Amsterdam in November 2016. So I do ask to kindly consider looking into maybe the website. There's a donate button there, crazywisefilm.com, and support this wonderful project. There are just 2 final elements remaining in the production, and that is music to accompany the interviews. 4.5 hours of interviews, I think, trimmed back to just over an hour and a half. And then the second remaining element is to create a cartoon depicting the history of psychiatry. So I think it will be fantastic to see the completed project. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful day. Bye. I have to come back to add, somehow I forgot to mention that another relevant point as to why I've connected so strongly with this Crazywise film documentary is that I not only am I a doctor, but I'm also a patient. I've seen these issues in mental health care from both sides of the insanity line, so to speak. But I live to tell the tale. I had my first acute crisis in 2012, had another in 2014, and another in 2015. So that was 3. So I feel like I'm good. I've integrated, I've learned, and I move forward, and I feel new and improved and upgraded. That's all I have to say about that.
We are united now within these ancient wheels. We are united in the spirit of the music at our heels. On reflection we rebuild and we restore. We are as Mother Nature's children as we dance around the floor. All together, all as one. All together, relentlessly we're dancing on. All together, all as one. All together, relentlessly we're dancing on. We are invisible on these dancing feet. We're shape and shadowless, revolving to the one eternal beat. With hearts connected, we will turn the other around. We are as Mother Nature's children as we dance upon the ground. All together, all as one. All together, relentlessly we're dancing on. All together, all as one. All together, relentlessly we're dancing on. We'll stay forever here within these timeless walls. We'll stay forever here, no matter how the turning silver falls. Accelerated, we've seen this place before. We are as Mother Nature's children as we dance around the